Turned the tables on my ex-wife's attempt to make me back out last minute from coaching children's t-ball, by Yuzrunka Yuri. About a year out from divorce. Ex-wife has been acting petty and childish to say the least. Tries to make me look bad any attempt she gets. My young son played t-ball last year and I volunteered to be the coach. Really enjoyed it, but my work responsibilities/schedule changed before this season and I simply could not commit to do it again. I became good friends with the guy running the league and let him know before the sign-ups even started as a heads up. Was disappointed, but not much to do. What I was able to do, was volunteer to get to the field super early Saturday before the game started to set them up, chalk line the batters' boxes, foul lines, put out bases etc. 3 fields total, which he was extremely grateful for. A few weeks before the season was supposed to start they were unfortunately short a couple coaches and were sending out some desperation emails to all of the parents. My ex knew my situation, and apparently thought going onto the website and basically fraudulently volunteering me to coach would be a great way to inconvenience me, make me look bad by having to back out, etc. So she did just that. Buddy running the league called me, very confused. In order to register, you have to make a username/password. Username is just your email, so after a few minutes of looking through the registration we worked what happened as her email was in the account name. Ultimately, he decided to put his kid on my son's team and be the coach on top of everything else he was doing. He was pissed at my ex himself though, because this stunt could have set them back finding a legit coach if they needed to, possibly delaying the league. Here is where I come up with the petty revenge. He sends out the official email out to all of the parents of the league with the rosters and coaches for all 10 teams. Except for our kids' team instead of listing himself, I tell him to list my ex puts her name/contact info, etc. and says to expect further info from each coach individually. She emails him back once she notices to point out the mistake saying it should have been me instead but he ignores it. He sends her all of the clearances coaches need to pass, asks for times she can come pick up equipment, the whole 9 yards. After a couple of days parents of the team apparently start emailing her asking for info on when the season starts and when practice will be and all that. Eventually he does reply back, playing dumb, telling her she is the one who volunteered, as it was her username that registered, and knew it wasn't supposed to be me as he had spoken to me months earlier and knew I wasn't able to do it this year. Put her in an awkward spot, because she either had to admit what she did, or feign some BS ignorance and claim a miscommunication which everyone knew was nonsense as we were divorced. After she flat out says she can't coach and she isn't sure what to tell him, he sends out another email to the entire league, which says due to the coach of our kids' team name backing out at the very last minute, I have no choice but to take on coaching the team myself, on top of the rest of the responsibilities. Moving forward we ask that coaches do not volunteer unless they plan on fulfilling that commitment. He didn't mention her by name, but everyone saw the rosters and knew he was talking about her. She texted me a few weeks later once the season started about how my buddy is an a-hole for doing that to her due to a glitch in the registration software as multiple people have approached and asked her not so nicely what happened and she knows she is getting looks from people during the games. What a satisfying text it was to receive. Selling on FB, lowballed, accepted their offer, and had them meet me at the local pub, by user expensive__support. When I list something on FB Marketplace, I do it with the intention of selling it basically right away. What does this mean? It means my price is low. Sometimes too low. And firm. I don't budge on price, but that has never mattered, they always buy it at full price anyway. I absolutely hate getting 50 "is it still available" messages. When I get one of those, I just delete and ignore. A few days ago I was selling a set of new take-off tires/wheels. MSRP was in the $2,500 range. Used prices were in the $1,500 to $2,000 range. I listed these at $1,000. Within an hour I had probably 20 messages about them. My response is always the same, the price is the price. I will not hold them. First come first serve. One of the guys who messaged me offered $250. These are a slow sell at $2,000, but a near instant sell at $1,000. There is no world where $250 was an appropriate offer. So I told him that. My word for word, punctuation for punctuation response to his offer was, no. But that didn't stop him. He justified his offer by sending several listings showing other tires, etc. So I blocked him and moved on. Fast forward 10 minutes, and I get another message from a different FB account, with the same offer. This guy was now using a second FB account. So I blocked this second account. And then he did it with a third account. I was done at this point. Clearly I couldn't win by just blocking and moving on. This guy was relentless. His strategy was to literally annoy the living crap out of you until you just said yes. And blocking his accounts wouldn't work, who knows how many accounts this guy had. And so I did what any other sane person would do, and accepted his $250 offer. I told him I would take his $250 offer, but that he would have to meet me later that night, as I was currently busy. He said that he was about a 2-hour drive from Maine and asked to meet halfway. I said no. He was eager to make a quick buck off of me, so agreed to drive to me. There is a street in our town that has a few pubs on it. 3 of these pubs are within about a half-mile of each other, kind of set up so you park on the street and walk between them. And these pubs are usually busy by 11 p.m. By busy, I mean there is zero parking anywhere. You usually have to park at least a half-mile away and walk to the pub. And so I did what any sane person would do and set the meet for 11 p.m. at one of these local pubs. I sent him a message at around 10:45 p.m. and asked him to meet me in the pub, and we could walk over to my truck and grab the wheels/tires. He messages me at 11 p.m., and told me he was out front. There is no way to park out front without blocking the entire street, and traffic is usually heavy at 11 p.m., meaning he couldn't just wait out front, he would have to move. So again, I did what any sane person would do, and waited until about 10 minutes after 11 p.m. to message back. In that 10 minutes, I received no less than 20 messages from him. These messages painted an amazing picture, as he grew more and more frustrated, as he sent screenshots of his location, asking if he was in the right place, as he kept telling me he would drive down the block and circle back, you get the point. 10 minutes later, I sent a simple, sorry about that. Didn't see your message. I'm at the bar in XYZ pub. Just park and come in, I'll grab you a beer. He accepted the offer, parked what I assume was 1/2 mile and away, and walked to the pub. 10 more minutes of me not responding and 20 plus messages later, I sent a simple, sorry about that. Didn't see your message. I walked down to PDQ pub, probably 500 yards away, thinking you may be there. Meet me down here. Fast forward until right around midnight. I had made this man drive 2 hours one-way, walk at least 2 miles, go into all 3 pubs, and curse me every way to Sunday. And he was still 2 hours from home. So I did what any sane person would do, and turned off FB notifications and went to bed. Oh, and the wheels and tires sold earlier that day for exactly $1,000. Coworker is territorial about her shared desk, I'll just make it worse, by user code Achromacity. Our office is hybrid post-pandemic, and to cut down on costs we now have a shared desk situation. The only people with permanent desks are the higher-ups or people who come in full-time. My coworker who shows up about 2 times a week still treats her desk like her own personal desk even though our whole team is supposed to use it. She's a bit of a grump and never removed her personal items and pictures, even though we were asked to do so. 90% of the time we just leave her desk alone because it's too annoying to deal with her complaints, and our manager basically avoids dealing with her because she's such a headache. But there are times when there just isn't many open desks so I have to sit at her desk and things get moved, of course. Nothing major, just the usual stuff with a shared desk. But of course she always complains and whines and tries to make us feel bad for using her desk. A few weeks ago it got to be too much, someone else sat at her desk and adjusted a lot of things and so she blew up at me. I told her I hadn't sat at her desk, but she just whined about all the times before. I was done. So for the last few weeks whenever I go past her desk I make sure to move something or unplug something. It's been pissing her off so much. The best moment came yesterday when she was freaking out because her laptop died mid-meeting. She's not great with technology and was freaking out. Of course she called IT and when they came they simply pointed out that her power cord was loose. I wonder how that happened. Our IT guy has a way of talking which was perfect for the moment because he basically walked her through a step-by-step process of plugging in the cord while everyone else could hear. She basically looked like a moron for not knowing how to check if it was plugged in. I couldn't stop smiling. Controlling librarian, by user too difficult to remember. Took my students to the library and one of my students who has anxiety lost a small piece of paper. He asked for a new one and the librarian refused. Student came to me anxious asking for help. We looked in the areas he had been and couldn't find it. At this point my student is close to tears. I wait my turn and ask the librarian if I can use one of the papers no one wanted for anxious student. He said no. After thinking about it, I announced to my class that anyone who could find it would get a reward. Complete chaos. Librarian tried to quiet them down, didn't work, I didn't help. Librarian announced that he would look later, my students kept running around looking. Chaos continued. Smiling face with open mouth and tightly closed eyes. After about 10 minutes it was found and we all cheered. I could have easily quieted them down at any time, but fuck that over-controlling noob. Your little rules should not be more important than an excellent student with anxiety being stressed tired face. Never splitting the check again. White smiling face, by user Concert Confetti. I've been with my husband nearly 6 years and married for almost 3. Our entire relationship family birthday dinners with my in-laws have always been a mess. They never decide where to go or what time until the very last minute. Sometimes they even change the location or time day of, so even reservations can become useless because you need most of the party present. People are typically late, not 15 to 20 minutes, sometimes even an hour, and thus have others waiting to start eating. But the most painful part of these events has always been paying for the check at the end of the meal. Typically what would happen is everyone splits the check in whatever way so the birthday human doesn't have to pay for their meal. No one ever says, hey everyone, we're splitting the check evenly no matter what, or pay for yourself and a little extra for the birthday person, nothing, just left to figure it out at the end of the night. They'll offer to share, I think in hopes that it makes it more attractive to share the bill. We were once asked to pay $60 each on an approximately $300 bill when all we ordered was 2 $15 meals and water, while everyone else went ham and bought whatever they wanted plus alcohol. When they asked what we were doing birthday dinner wise for my husband and I, we picked a restaurant and it was a great meal. My husband ordered a couple of appetizers to share with the table, which everyone partook in. When the bill came, my BIL said, let's see how much we pay to maybe you guys don't pay. I was flabbergasted. All of a sudden it was we will see and not automatic. We ended up paying our entire bill including apps and drinks. I was really upset because time and time we have paid more than our fair share, but when it was our turn no one was willing to follow tradition. When my sister-in-law's birthday dinner came along, we decided to only pay what we ordered and let them figure out the rest. My in-laws were not only ordering alcohol and meals but also a bottle of sparkling water, which I have never seen them do in the years I've known them. We took the tablet when we were done eating and chatting, paid for our meals plus tip and left. I'm so glad we've decided that's how we will handle these dinners from now on. So much annoying stress removed.